Alright guys, so I thought it would be a good time to talk about some tips and tricks about SDG Generation Eternal before the game is officially released next Wednesday. So you guys know I had a fair share of playing the game during the beta, so there were things that I have learned and just kind of pick up along that might be useful as you guys are starting out playing the game, because the beginning stage of playing any game is the toughest, so I thought I'd go ahead and share kind of what I have learned. So let's kind of get started. So tip number one is going to be leveling up your unit. So isn't this one the most unexpected tip of all, right? Yeah, I mean, like leveling wise in this game for the beta, it was a little bit challenging because there were just not a lot of ways or resources to actually level up your unit, and the only thing we were constrained to playing was like the main storyline. So the main storyline does get pretty difficult, and a lot of my unit were just heavily underperforming most of the time. So as far as this game, there are going to be three types of units: a attacker, support, and tanks. So I find it useful to just focus on leveling up at least one good attackers and a tanker of your choosing. So whatever you guys are able to summon on, definitely do focus on them first, because if you guys are able to get past them using some of your strongest unit, I mean, you guys are going to be good to go, and that should at least carry you through like at least at the beginning of the portion of the games where resources are just really limited. So yeah, definitely focus on one attacker and one tanks, and that should be pretty good to go at that point. Tip number two is going to be team formation. I would say team formation is probably going to be one of the most crucial thing to focus on, and I'm just going to focus on the main story because that was the things that I was exposed to the most. As far as playing the main story mode, they make you run two separate teams. One team is going to be dedicated to whatever series main story you're playing. So for example, you're playing Gundam Seed, they are going to be offering unit from Gundam Seed, or if you're playing Unicorn, vice versa, they will give you unit from that specific series. So your starting out roster is partially done. They give you one team and that's kind of all. And the other team, you have to select 5 unit of your choosing. So whatever you are able to pull, you can make a team out of that and kind of move on and start playing the game. But there are 3 things that I would like to highlight is going to be the use of attacker, supporter, and tanker in the formation. So what I ran in the beta, I ran 2 supports and 2 attackers, and the other 3 slots I went up a ratio of 2-to-1 of a supporter or tanker, or vice versa, depending on what you guys are able to roll, and kind of move up from there. Attacker are obviously pretty self-explanatory because they are going to be the one that's doing the damage to taking out the enemy. Supporter are important as well because they are able to kind of do like a joint attack in a way when they are in close proximity. So using supporter aren't actually that bad at all. And same goes for the tanks. When you are attack and a tank is nearby a unit that the enemies are targeting, the tanks actually go ahead and block that for you. So having a mixed variety of attackers, support, and tanks are actually crucial in just moving along in the main storyline. And the other thing is they have something, they give you extra stats when you are forming units from the same series. So let's say you want to form a team using strictly 00 series, not that you're required to, but you get extra stats. At the beginning, this may be hard to do because you just may not be able to pull 3 of the same unit from the same series. Don't sweat it. At the beginning, it's not really going to matter as much, but as you're moving on, you realize you're like, gosh, like, why am I not performing as well? Well, maybe trying to form a team around a set series, that should be able to give you some stat bonuses, and that's going to be good. The last thing is, in this game, there's a battleship. As you guys are summoning, you guys may notice you're getting characters and there's a ship behind it. So for example, you pull Archangel or you pull Neo Agama from Unicorn. If you are building a team around, so if you equip the ship and if you build a team around the ship series or whatever requirement is, you get some stat buffs as well. So those are just kind of good things to keep in mind, because setting a good team is definitely going to come a long way, because it will greatly improve your survivability and just making sure you win those harder stages. And I cannot stress that enough because I found it hard back then, and I do hope that you guys are not going through the same kind of like the same hardship that I went through in a way. So we have that. Tip number 3 is going to be mastering the follow-up attacks. So a unit can perform a follow-up attack whenever your unit destroys the enemy unit. So, and the follow-up attack, it is actually limited by whatever is stated in the pilot stats page. Usually an SSR pilot give you one follow-up attack. So if you successfully destroy a enemy unit, you can move on and carry out an additional attack. If you are using a UR pilot, you can do up to 2. So in that specific turn, you can actually directly carry out 3 attacks. So that is cool, right? But here's gonna be a catch. Sometimes you might find it hard for even your strongest unit to fully one-shot a unit and let alone to follow up with an additional attack. So here's an example I'm gonna give you guys. So for example, the enemy unit has 10,000 HP and your strongest unit can only deal a maximum of 9,000 damage. At that point in time, what do? Because you can do 2 additional attacks, but you don't want to simply give up on that, because as you're dragging out the fight, it's just gonna get harder and harder because the enemy gonna have to come by and attack you. So what you can do is to have one of your weaker units to kind of do like a leg attack, maybe upward to like 2,000 to 3,000 damage, depending on the skills that unit has. So that weaker unit can no longer perform an additional attack because it failed to destroy the enemy. But what you're setting up to is your strongest unit can now deal the required remaining damage to the enemy and carry out with a second attack. So that was something I found to do later on, because I was like, well, if the weaker unit cannot even fully kill one unit, like, why don't I just take that and have my other unit to use that as a kind of like a springboard to carry out that additional attack. The following scenario works as well. So let's say you are about to carry out that second attack. So you destroy that one enemy and you want to move on with a second attack, but again, you found out you are short on damage again. Here's what you can do. You can switch up to a third unit that you have not attacked yet and do the same strategy. What's good about this game, you're not really tied to have to carry out that attack when you are locked into whatever unit you're picking. You can always switch it up to like this different unit that you have not attacked yet. So use the same strategy, trying to deal relatively good damage where your strongest unit can go back in and just do that attack. So the more attacks you do, the more damage you're able to build out. So that is also a great way to do. So definitely master those follow-up attacks, because they are going to help you out once you are in kind of like the later stages when the enemy are just tanky and your strongest unit cannot do everything, right? So have your weaker unit do some light attacks and just carry out some of the weight and kind of move on from there. And the last tip I have for you guys is going to be regarding the positioning of your unit and the auto function in the game, in the battle specifically. So I know a lot of players are going to be tempted to just use the auto mode and just kind of fly by things. Long story short, the auto mode, the auto feature, sometimes places your unit in a bad position where you get killed so often, and where I'm just like, why is it doing that? So if you guys, I know a lot of people just want to relax and just watch the gameplay, but I would advise you to position your unit where they want to be at your own discretion, because you can make your best possible, you can definitely make the most advantageous movement and not let the AI just ruin it for you. As it comes for the attacking aspect of things, I mean, the game can probably pick some suitable attack for that specific scenario, but me personally, I do not trust the game positioning for myself. So you can definitely switch off and on auto mode, and when it comes time for you to place your unit in those squares, definitely do that yourself, and you can save yourself a lot of headaches going back in and out and having to play to the same stage again and again. So those are gonna be my 4 tips for you guys. Do definitely let me know when you guys are playing, was it difficult or was it easy and whatnot. I know these tips are not something like super in depth and whatnot, but I mean, if I can point out anything for you guys at the beginning to kind of ease your way through into a new Gilima game, I'm up for that, right? Yeah, this game is going to be coming out on next Wednesday, so by the time you guys are watching this, there's still maybe a few days left before the game is out, but I do want to get this out into the algorithm so people can see it and whatnot. So yep, but other than that, do definitely let me know how the game is working out for you guys when it comes out. Do you guys like it, dislike it, whatnot? And do definitely let me know what unit you guys are able to pull, and I will be catching you guys all when the game is officially out on that Wednesday.